Today on File New, we have a lot of rebrands to get through, so it's going to be a pretty rebrand heavy show. We also have exciting updates about YouTube. We have exciting updates about Adobe products. A lot of Adobe products actually updated. We have a look into fashion designer Valentino because he died at age 93. And we have our font of the week, among a bunch of other things. If this is your first time here, it's a pleasure to have you here. This is File New, your one-stop shop for all things design news and creator news. The creative world is always changing, so this show is here to keep you updated with all the new updates, both programs and industry news, to keep you in the know. We're live on both Behance and YouTube, but we like to make this as rewatchable as possible. It's available as a rewatchable video on YouTube, so if you're here watching, it's great to have you here. And as something I will touch on again later in the show, I also have gotten back into the habit of uploading this as a video podcast to platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. So trying to be in more places where you're able to access the show and stay informed and stay part of the community, even if it doesn't necessarily fit your schedule, because we're here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. That would be very early if I lived on the West Coast, so I totally get it if you're not awake. Thank you to Cody for putting the links to the link Raindrop in the chat. You can access all this week's links and previous episode links on our Raindrop linked in each episode, as well as our Font of the Week winners, which we will be getting to in just a bit. If you're here live, we'd love to have you here because with Font of the Week, we put up 3 different fonts, and then you guys get to vote on what is the Font of the Week winner, and then that helps us kind of curate a really cool collection of usable fonts that are all available on Adobe Fonts. Once again, my name is Ryan Selvy. We have several sections of the show, including resources and rebrand and font of the week, but we like to always start off with just a lot of industry news. So that's the first one that we're going to get into. Welcome to File New. As you can see, we are here in Firefly Boards, which is kind of just where I like to curate and collect a bunch of my screenshots, a lot of the news that I have. And if we're going over into our news section today, we have so much stuff that we want to get through that we can kind of pick and choose and seeing what we want to get into. I think we'll just start off with some Matt Damon because I feel like a lot of people like Matt Damon. This is a report that came from Jack Dunn earlier in the week. This is that Matt Damon says apparently Netflix wants movies to restate the plot 3 or 4 times in the dialogue because viewers are on their phones while they're watching. We have a quote from him saying that the standard way to make an action movie that he learned was you usually have 3 set pieces, okay? So it's going to be in a first act, a second act, and a third. You spend most of your money on that third act. That's your finale. Now Netflix is apparently saying to Matt Damon as he's creating things, can we get a big one in the first 5 minutes? Which, like, totally switches off because it goes off of that idea of social media. It's going off of the idea that you need your hook quickly on YouTube or on anything that people are switching by and flipping. And then he says that they also are asking to reiterate the plot 3 or 4 times in the dialogue because people are on their phones while they're watching. He says that there are shows like Adolescence that are the exception and shows that you don't necessarily have to do the tricks to please audiences. But I think just like anything else, when you're creating things, it's very good to know the rules, the industry standards, and the things that people are doing across the board. Because then when you bring that to your own project, if you're deciding to break those rules, you at least are having the intention to break the rules. I think a lot of people are upset over the idea that it hurts storytelling. But I will also say at the same time, I am very guilty of being on my phone while I'm watching something or, you know, something like eating dinner or something. And maybe we'll have like a side conversation and, you know, there's a lot going on. I'm seeing in the chat, Oliver is saying that viewers should pay more attention. Penny is saying, but what about my second screen? My second screen would not appreciate me ignoring it. Tracy says she doesn't know if it's true. They also heard that they're putting more of the good and funny stuff in the center of the screen so they can put the clips on social media, which that is also interesting because you have to think of cropping in both vertical and horizontal formats. We'll be getting over to YouTube, which actually, let's do that right now. Let's hop over to the news from YouTube. This comes from this morning. This is an update from the CEO of YouTube, and it is all talking about what's coming to YouTube in 2026. One of their main focuses here is every format on every screen. They said whether they're watching on a small screen in their hand or the largest screen in their home, viewers choose YouTube for an unmatched breadth of content. Long-form content, shorts, which is like their TikToks or Reels, music videos, live streams, podcast, also and more. And so basically in 2026, they're really going to continue to focus on that and being able to bridge the gap between all of these things. Dawn Marie is saying when she watches TV, she only watches TV. That's her escape. And, I hope that means right now you're watching me and only me. And I am glad to be your escape. Like I said, this is live, so I will be referring to chat. If you are watching the replay and I refer to some chat that you cannot see on the side, do not worry. You are not experiencing a glitch. There's also another chat that's going on with Behance. We have Kendall over there saying, I have to pay attention. I'm always watching Korean dramas and have to read the subtitles. Yes, when you watch any foreign film or foreign content and you have to read subtitles, that always totally throws things off. But then I tend to watch those slower because then I can't multitask while I'm doing it. Oliver says, never mind shorts. I want YouTube jorts, which is hilarious. Jorts is our in-stream currency when we stream on Twitch, which to that point, we do have a Twitch stream coming up after this in about an hour, and that's with CA in LA, and they are two wonderful film creators living over in LA, and they give their experience on the industry. They explore different movies and stuff. I know that they're going to Sundance this weekend, which I think we will get to actually in a second because I haven't fully completed my thought process here with with the update. One of the things that really stood out to me was their acknowledgement of AI slop in this update. They said that the rise of AI has raised concerns about low quality content, aka slop. They said that to reduce the spread of low-quality AI content, we're actively building on our established systems that have been very successful in combating spam and clickbait and reducing the spread of low-quality repetitive content. Obviously, they can't go into the nitty-gritty of all of their guidelines and the things that are going to be the rules that they go off of, whether that's do they use AI voices or AI content? What does that look like? But it is interesting to see that they are acknowledging it. If you go to the Raindrop, you'll be able to access this entire state of affairs from YouTube. It says that it is an 8-minute read, so you'll be able to go through. I'll just read some of the headlines for a quick overview for you guys. They say that number one is reinventing entertainment. Creators are the new stars in studios. They talk about how they have begun buying huge studio lots. They, have experiences that surround Taylor Swift with behind the scenes releases. And just the amount of production quality that now goes into YouTube. This is where they talk about every format on every screen. They talk about the rise of YouTube TV and how big it has been, especially over the last few years, where a lot of viewing content's happening on people's TVs. So longer content's happening and people are surfing from the couch. They're looking at building the best place for kids and teens and having safeguards to be able to navigate that, because there's a lot of stuff that is kind of geared at kids and teens. And what does that mean? What does that look like? Powering the creator economy with more ways to earn, accelerating brand deals, supercharging and safeguarding creativity. This is where they go into AI. And then I'm just talking about the future. So this is all linked for you. It's on blog.youtube. Which, wow, I guess they have their own dot whatever. So it's not even .com. It's just blog.youtube. So, wow, when you're as big as YouTube and you're a force to be reckoned with, that's what you're working with. Kendall's saying that she needs to prep for Sundance coming to Boulder next year, and she might volunteer, which is great. That is a great transition to hop over to Sundance. We're going to be talking about Sundance more than once, because I actually want to talk about the branding of Sundance this year and how it's different from last year. But if you're not aware, the Sundance Film Festival goes from January 22nd, which at the time of filming is tomorrow, and that goes until February 1st. So that will be basically this Thursday through next Sunday. So that is about 10 days worth of content and films. They have everything split up between these different categories here. They say many of the films have not been rated by the Motion Picture Association of America, that they curate bold and creative films that can be provocative and are not suitable for all audiences. They want you to read the full descriptions prior to reserving a film to ensure that it's appropriate for all viewers in their location. And they're normally followed up by a Q&A with members of the cast and crew. So they have U.S. dramatic competition. They have U.S. documentary competition. They have the World Cinema Dramatic Competition, the World Cinema Documentary Competition. They have Next, which is being presented by Adobe specifically. It says pure, bold works distinguished by an innovative, forward-thinking approach to storytelling populate this program. Unfettered creativity promises that the films in this section will shape a greater next wave in America cinema. Because as you guys know, not only is the format of film and movies changing, but also how we consume them and how we interact with movie theaters and streaming and everything, all of the above. It's constantly in flux. And we just talked about YouTube. Like some of these premieres and stuff can also premiere into YouTube tangentially at the same time. They have premieres. They have Midnight, which is horror flicks. They have episodic sections. They have a spotlight program to tribute the cinema that they love, special screenings. They have family matinees, Park City Legacy, short film programs, and Beyond Film. You can find out all this information on their website. It is linked. These screenshots are from their programming document that you can download and access, and it gives you a whole schedule of when everything is streaming and stuff. So I'm interested if you guys are interested in any of it. I'm also excited to hear of CA and LA's experience with going and being there firsthand and experiencing with it. If you notice, I keep mentioning CA and LA. They are the ones that are doing Cinema Collective. That is right after this. And you can see that's over on Twitch at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And then tomorrow on Adobe Live, the whole day is all YouTube. They've got Making Decisions. We've got On the Spot. We have some Premiere Pro update streaming, which will also be going into some Premiere Pro updates in just a second, and some TikTok stream on Friday, and another education stream on Friday as well with dynamic designs. So would love to hear what you guys are more excited in seeing, what you want to learn about. If you have any questions, comments, thoughts in the chat while we're going through everything, let us know. Also, like I said at the top of the show, I'm starting to put in the recordings into podcasts so that you can also get them on your own time. Do me a favor and give it a follow over on Spotify or Apple. And when you do, give it a rating, because that helps with discoverability and helps to serve it to more people. You guys want to hop into some... Let's hop into some Adobe updates, because there are a huge collection of them today. And this is coming from the Adobe blog, which is blog.adobe.com. You might miss it if you are not if you're not looking for the specific updates, because there's two different posts today. And this one is new AI-powered video editing tools in Premiere, plus major motion design upgrades in After Effects. This is from Jason Druss, and it's over on the blog, like I said. And you might see that and you may be like, oh, well, I'm not doing AI-powered video editing tools, so I'm not interested. There are a lot of other things that are in here that are actually really exciting updates for people across the board. One is that now there is going to be support for SVG starting today if you update your Illustrator and After Effects. For the longest time, it was just AI, and like AI is in Adobe Illustrator, and EPS, which is two different vector formats. Now you can actually import SVG files into After Effects. So if you have a vector file that you get a logo or something, you can bring it in. And they are also having new gradient, scale, and rotation properties to give you more creative control for fills and strokes. Over in Premiere again, though, there is some new object masking that is exciting to see. You can create perfect masks of complex moving objects. Like, look at this where it's nice and highlighted and all in red. It says that it's using AI-powered object masks. And one of the things I do want to call out here that I don't know if a lot of people are calling out or not is that all of this AI for the object masking and stuff is entirely on device here for you. So I know that a lot of people are always talking about energy usage and AI and like data centers. In this specific case, when you're using this masking tool, it is off of your electricity bill. So it's also like if you wanted to do it on a laptop, you wanted to unplug from the wall, like you know that your energy usage and everything that is happening with the processing is happening on your device. So you're not sending it off to somewhere else to be calculated or whatever. It's happening on your device, which I think is comforting for a lot of people. And this is also helping you use different types of selections so that you can do more with lassos. You can cut things out. You're able to use like rectangles and also freeform things, but it also is going to pick up a specific special fit. So they say less fiddling, more creating. And you can simply hover and click to generate precise masks in seconds. And you can also color code everything, which is really nice. Also, another update, speaking of Premiere, is new shape masks. So when you were working in Premiere, if you were ever working in like Illustrator or After Effects and you hop over to Premiere, you kind of get a little like, whoa, things are working differently when I'm creating shapes. They are now making it easier to generate them directly from the toolbar, just like an object mask. You can resize, move, rotate, and feather masks with the improved creative controls in your program monitor, so you have more precision and flexibility. They also redesigned the Bezier curves, ensuring smoother mask customization, and the option to choose colored overlays allows you to preview your mask entirely, add, subtract, and mix multiple masks together using different blend modes. One more After Effects update that we'll talk a little bit more even about when we are going over two different stories, one for fonts and one for Rebrand, is now there is support for variable fonts. Variable fonts is the idea of being able to have an access or a range of things and being able to edit those in a manner of numbers that you can say, like, I want it to be this thin or this thick down to the decimal point, and then the W will then change the size and still say, you know, accurate and legible as the font. You can now animate every axis as a variable font using text animator systems, keyframe expressions. You can use up to 8 axes per layer. So I mean, that could be height, width, weight, slant, decoration. I can't even get to 8. You also have wiggle, designer defined font axis in the properties panels, and you can drive them through the essential graphics panel and motion graphics templates for flexible titles and templates, which is really cool to see. There are a few other things that are also mentioned in this blog post by Jason, so I definitely suggest checking out to see if there's anything in there that inspires you. There's some updates with Substance Designer and 3D objects, and I am not very well versed in the 3D world, so you'll do better at reading it than I am. Oliver is saying, what if my creative workflow is fiddling? Well, then you have time to fiddle with other things. You can fiddle away with, I don't know, I don't even say rotoscoping, because rotoscoping is also kind of being fixed. This next thing from Adobe is also a shout out to anyone who is looking for some money to be able to create a project. It says, expanding access to storytelling, Adobe Film and TV Fund goes direct to creators with nearly $10 million in contributions in product donations. Do you guys know her? Do you guys know this little lady, Chicken Shop Date? This is really exciting because it is one of the funds that Adobe is working with. And this is founded by Amelia Dimoldenberg, which is the creator of Chicken Shop Date. She goes and has chicken with a bunch of different celebrities on YouTube. It's a really fun time. She like dates them for one episode and does interviews. When she does the one with Cher, it's really funny because like Cher is having none of it, and it seems like a really bad date. But she handles it well. Anyway, she has built it from the ground up. And has really kind of created this for over like 10 years. I think even like 11 years. I think she started in like 2015. Yeah, Tracy's saying yes, she's awesome. And she is now kind of paying it forward. And she has a creative skills program for 18 to 24-year-olds from underrepresented backgrounds who are interested in careers in digital media, which is really, really cool. Kendall's saying, ooh, I have to read up. Alyssa loves her series and work. It says that they are helping her expand her 1-week pilot to a 4-week hands-on workshop paired with long-term support to create clear pathways into creative careers. They're also supporting Rideback Rise empowers Rideback Rise, and that empowers mid-career artists of color to make commercial film and television products through their Rise fellowships, offering creative and financial support. They also provide mentorship and masterclass. And then also they're introducing Adobe a new direct to creators funding pathway, and it will solicit nominations from industry and community organizations. If you are interested in applying or getting involved in this, because maybe you have a product that you have in mind, make sure you send an email to createchange@adobe.com and you can become a part of it. This is separate from the idea of DIMS Incorporated or Rise. So if you don't feel like you fit in that, like let's say you're not 18 to 24, or you are not mid-career artist of color, there is still a spot over in here for Create Change at adobe.com, and you can look into that. The Adobe Film and TV Fund is a fund that supports emerging and mid-career filmmakers by combining funding, fellowships, training, and Adobe product access to help develop products, build careers, and tell next-generation stories. Like I said, they are committing $10 million in grants and donated products, helping unlock creative opportunities and career advancement for creators around the world. So don't let your dreams be dreams, to quote Shia LaBeouf, I guess. So if that's something that you're interested in, check it out. Apparently, is there a chicken shop date with Elmo? That is fascinating. Would love to see that one. Also, Alyssa's saying she has a great YouTube interview with Colin and Samir on how she built her series. So that's also inspiring to check out. Maybe I'll throw that in the Discord as well. Kendall says, is this a separate thing from the Creative Residency Fund too? Yes, I believe so. I believe these are completely separate enacting, experiences. But let's say that this is something that you're interested in and you are shooting stuff and you are wondering what you want to shoot it on. This was a really fun camera that I came across. In this news is a Fuji camera, reporting coming from Fast Company. This is written by Grace Snelling. And Fujifilm's newest camera model, the Instax Mini Evo Cinema, is a gadget that's designed for retro camera craze. Because as you guys know, there is a big resurgence and interest in using vintage cameras, using like Polaroids, using film that needs to be developed traditionally. And this is a $409 camera. But the interesting thing here that they have here is they have a gen dial. And I'm not talking about generating pictures through AI models or anything. I'm literally talking about generations. And so they have a dial that has a little thing of different years on it. You can see here they have 2020 going all the way back to 1930. And what it's doing is it is adding different effects and processes to make something look like it is from a different time. Their examples down here show 1940, 1980, and 2010, depending on what you shoot it with. It has capabilities to be able to do Instafilm, but it also has capabilities to do things on the camera itself. Interesting approach. We'll see if Gen Z gets into this. It's so weird to be able to I want my specific thing to look like, 1970. Oliver says, can I take my photos in boomer mode? Oliver, are you already there? Are you already in boomer mode? Just kidding. Completely kidding. Oliver takes wonderful, wonderful photos, specifically a lot of birds, which is cool. Those are ones that I've seen a lot of, and my husband is a big birder, so I appreciate that. Winter Powell says that it's neat. The gen dial is cool. Clever thinks that it's very get off my lawn, which is funny. What do you guys, how do we feel about this? Do we feel like this is a cool approach? Is this too gimmicky? Do you think this will take off? Do you think people will be interested? I think for a $400 camera, I think this is kind of a good price point for something that's like this. It's obviously still a great camera because it's coming from Fujifilm, but it also has a gimmick on top of it. Oliver's yelling at me for calling him boomer. I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Oliver is one of our regulars, and we love to see Oliver all the time. What next should we look at? And I also know in the raindrop, I am hopping around the different links that we have. So I promise I will reorganize them. This is another one that we're going to touch on very briefly because then we're going to come back to it and rebrand again. But if you guys, speaking of Gen X, and also my millennials out there, do you guys remember Dig? You were online in the mid 2000s, if you remember Dig. It was a Web 2.0 era, which was back when social media was coming to its peak point, and it was once valued at $175 million in 2008, but it was a direct competitor with Reddit. And basically Reddit ended up winning the race, so much so that ended up the earlier version was split up in 2012, and its largest stakeholder was sold to incubator BettyWorks, while LinkedIn and the Washington Post picked up other pieces. And now this iteration is now being refurbished and relaunched by one of the co-creators, and it is now live. You don't even have to have like an invite or anything. It will just kind of be posted up. Now, thing that's interesting about this that they are saying differentiates them as a different social platform than Reddit is that they are going to try out new technologies that are yet to be completely solidified. They're going to do some trial and error to try to hone in on the idea of authentic human interaction. They want to try new technologies like zero knowledge proofs to verify that people are people using its platform. They also have suggested using things like being able to open the app to verify that you have attended a meetup and then going off of geolocation for that. Also, things like being able to verify that you have bought a product that you are actively participating in conversation for. They don't, in this article written by one of my favorite journalists, Sarah Perez, they don't necessarily go into a conversation about data privacy here. I don't know what that looks like. I would imagine it would all be consensual stuff that you opt into for each thing to have the security of being able to talk to humans. But it is interesting to see. It's also really interesting to see how they redesigned the website, the app, the experience, and we'll be getting into that into Rebrand in just a second. I am seeing we're about halfway through our show, so I am trying to make sure we get through as much as we can. Kendall says she barely remembers Dig. They used to have Dignation, which was like a video podcast, one of my first video podcasts I remember actively watching, where they just went over the news kind of. I guess kind of like this, but it wasn't necessarily focused on like creators and technology and art. It was just Dig as a whole. And Penny says it wasn't a randomizer, it just had a random button, which she remembers being able to use a random with being able to find new things, kind of like Stumble Upon, which, once again, I'm aging myself in its own way. Then going back to Netflix real quick, this is a very short, quick headline story. Not going to go too much into it. Netflix posts narrow earnings. They beat 325 million global subscribers. I know that there has been building studios. There is also the super constantly changing. Who knows if it will still be relevant by the time you watch this, if it still is relevant, because I grabbed this yesterday. But Netflix is now saying that they'll pay all cash for the all cash to buy Warner Brothers to keep Paramount at bay. They have switched to an all-cash offer, and they are not increasing their offer. They're saying at a nice, cheap $82.7 billion price tag. But the idea is that because they're offering all cash, hopefully they will accept it over Paramount. They have been kind of at odds ends. Paramount and Netflix have been kind of fighting over buying Warner Brothers. Both of their stock prices have been hurt because of it, and it is uncertain as to who is going to win, but a meeting is expected to be held by April. This goes in parallel with the idea of Matt Damon saying that Netflix wants movies to restate the plot 3 or 4 times. So there might be more content that continues to repeat itself just a little bit more. Also, hey to Steven. Steven is a good friend of the channel. He is working on an awesome Adobe Live On Demand series. He recently created a very cool video all about production and creating design assets to be able to pass off to clients. So make sure you check that out. It's also on the YouTube page as well. Jack says, please let's not merge anymore. And Winter is also saying right. Yeah, no, there's lots of mergers going on, lots of things consolidating, lots of things in the legal system. Speaking of the legal system and social media, let's talk about all the big boys that are currently in a fight with the government. Snap settled a social media addiction lawsuit ahead of a trial. And if you didn't know that this trial is coming to fruition, it is got all the big names in it. Other plaintiffs that are going to be involved in the lawsuit moving forward is Meta, who owns Instagram, ByteDance's TikTok, and Alphabet's YouTube, none of which have settled, but Snapchat hopped in real quick before the kind of jury selection began, and it apparently came to some sort of agreement with the 19-year-old woman that is alleging that algorithmic design of the platforms left her addicted and affected by mental health. I said plaintiff for the other ones. The defense, sorry. The defendants are Meta, TikTok, YouTube. Language, not commentary. And then they're saying the trial is scheduled to go forward against the remaining 3 defendants. Jury selection begins on January 27th. And Mark Zuckerberg apparently is expected to testify. And until yesterday, the CEO of Snap was also supposed to testify, but I guess he doesn't have to anymore. We're reporting on this because this will certainly change how the platforms work with adolescents, the platforms in general. I know that there have been updates. I know we were just looking at YouTube, but also there have been updates to Instagram, and also ChatGPT even had something that is now identifying people younger than 18 to then be able to change the experience based on your age and how you're interacting with the platform, rather than to what we've always kind of experienced before this, which is all like everything is the same and everything is, one login, one experience for every single person. We might be coming close to a point where now you log in and a service is geared directly towards your demographic, whether that's your age or where you live or any of the above. Just a few more news stories. I know we touched on it just at the very beginning, but according to the official family that is like in charge of the Instagram account of Valentino, the Italian fashion designer Valentino has died at 93. Earlier this week, he was very famous for his red, Valentino red, that was always kind of like a pop, and he always created these really beautiful dresses. I know he did Jackie when she got remarried. They also had Princess Diana, among others, and he was very influential. There is a YouTube video that I started watching that is all about his early life and personal life, and I'll be sure to link that in the Discord for you guys. And that's really interesting to learn about everything, kind of like where he came from. He was like growing up in World War II, but was really far removed from it, so didn't really kind of experience World War II, which is so crazy. But it gives you a big perspective of his whole career and his life and how he changed fashion, how he just changed design and our experience with color. So rest in peace to Valentino. And I look forward to learning more about him. I believe that is all of our news stories that I had lined up for us today. But we are already halfway through our show. So now is better time than ever to get into our next section, which is the font of the week. Font of the week is the magical time of the show where we really rely on you guys in the YouTube chat to vote on the winner. And then we select a winner and they go into our Hall of Fame. We have 3 contenders as always. I'm going to go ahead and as I put up the poll, I will quickly just expand these 3 artboards and you guys will see the names and creators of all 3. We'll go through, what they are, how we necessarily use them, and what are successful. So we have Oaks, which is by Kel Charlton from Overlap Type. We have Taurunum, and this is from Nicola Kostic and Zoran Kostic from Kostic Type Foundry. And then we also have Discovery, which is designed by Arne Freytag from Frontador. Frontador, I believe, is the same font foundry or type foundry that we looked at last week for one of our typefaces. So I will go ahead and put up all of these. I'm going to make sure I do not put the same one twice like we did last week because that was a huge controversy. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in the chat for you guys. You guys can start voting, but I also like to tell people to take some time and let me go through them so that you can learn a little bit about what they are, what they're used for, a little bit of their thought process, and you can go from there. So Oaks, like I said, designed by Overlap Type. According in their own words, it says it's a display typeface with a friendly attitude, distinctive character, and it was originally developed during a school project at Type at Cooper West. It has evolved to include additional widths, accented glyphs, refined letter forms, and the design draws from sign painting traditions from the late 1800s. It has particular influence from show card lettering masters like Ross F. George and E.C. Matthews. The characteristics, stem flares, and overall aesthetics are tailored for vintage wall signs, the kind you'd find painted on the side of an old brick building, and it was born from a desire to create a design toolkit that would feel at home on the small country grocery stores I grew up visiting in Sonoma County, California. And yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. It's big, it's loud, it's easily legible, it's got character, it is flared in all the right places, but it also goes down to a pretty reasonable width if you wanted to use it for something more like body copy. I think this could work in both headline and editorial copy. It's a little decorative, probably not fully decorative typeface, so if you want to make a huge impact, this isn't going to be it. But this is clean, this is nice, you can use it. I could see it probably, yeah, on groceries. I could see it on wellness products, beauty products. I could see it on like an insurance company even, maybe, if they were feeling a little bit more organic, crunchy, chewy, granola bar. I'm seeing Kendall says that she loves it. Tracy and Winter are talking about Font of the Week Gate, which was last week, but this week, I promise, we're doing well. Then we have, what was the next one that I have listed? Taranum. Taranum is, like I said, created by the Caustic Type Foundry. I don't know if they are partners or brothers or what. Lovers, who knows. We love all of the above because they have created a cool typeface. And it says, the initial idea for this font came to me when a friend asked me to create a logo for a sports team that he was forming. Since it was a martial arts competitive sport, it required bold and striking lettering in order to reflect that particular quality. When the logo was finished, I was really pleased with the letters, so I decided to create an entire font. It's made with the intention to be used for display designs like logos and posters, and combining the weights should give the best results. And yeah, I think that it definitely reads that way. I don't think you would ever want to use this in huge amounts of body copy. It is very narrow and tall, so you're going to want to make sure that it's big and has enough spacing so that people can understand. It has regular, bold, small caps, wide, and tall. You can go through. It has some glyphs like the and here, and it has Latin and Cyrillic support for you. And I think that it could read, it could read as here's Whiskey Barrel Rock. It feels like it could be like a craft brewery. It could be a rock poster. It could be a D&D style tavern kind of creation. You could also do something a little bit more I don't know, rugged and put something on signs here. This could be the lead beginning kind of like top of any sort of like a title. You could do a book cover. Lots here. And a few different weights. Penny says, being happy with the logo so much that you make a font. Love that for them. Yeah, I know. Teach me your ways, right? Kendall said that she went to go download this one and activate it on Adobe Fonts, but she already has it. Which that, I'm glad to hear that we're lining up our tastes here. Then finally, we have Discovery. If you guys are familiar with me in any capacity, you know that I love sci-fi. This is a sci-fi font. It says it's a retro sci-fi font inspired by futuristic typefaces from the last millennium, characterized by film titles and record covers. With 5 carefully crafted weights and matching 3D layers, Discovery opens up a multitude of creative possibilities for expressive logo types, concise headlines, striking posters, distinctive branding, food design, or other creative projects. It combines nostalgic charm with modern aspirations. Well said, perfectly put. I think that it is very easy to read. You wouldn't want to put this on anything like particularly like formal or elegant. You wouldn't put necessarily your wedding invites on this. I don't know, maybe you would. But I think this is something that you could put a lot of fun with. You could match it a lot with some very easy sans serif fonts. I don't know how it would look with a serif font, to be honest, just because it is so futuristic and you don't normally associate kind of like traditional serifs with kind of sci-fi stuff. If you were, it would have to be some sort of kind of like monotype kind of serif, I feel like. But interesting to see, and also from Fontador. So I'm going to let you guys vote for those 3. Once again, it is Discovery, Oaks, or Taranum. I like to let it run for a little bit just so that we get as many votes as possible on there. If you are not seeing it because you're over on Behance, make sure you hop over onto YouTube chat to vote. Cheryl is saying that she loves the sci-fi vibes. Winter also is feeling the sci-fi vibes. Oliver already has Taranum. Is that how you guys say it? Do you guys feel like I'm accurately pronouncing that word? Clever is saying that it reminds her of beef snacks. And Alyssa is saying that this one is going to be a close one. Right now we have a tie between Oaks and Discovery. So if you disagree with that, make sure you hop in there and you vote it on out. Kendall likes the idea of turning Discovery into a wedding invite. Maybe that'll be a design challenge. That would be cool. To take something that is very non-traditionally, not a wedding and turn it into like some sort of wedding. Oliver also has no idea who he is going to vote for. But we'll let that run for just a little bit. And like I said, if you guys need to see it again, please by all means let me know. As we're going on our over, just a reminder of the schedule. Right after this, we have Twitch, and then tomorrow we have all day YouTube. We have some TikTok and other YouTube over on Friday. I want to be conscious of time. We have a lot to get through still, so I am going to go and switch over to Rebrand. All right, we talked a little bit about dig, so we don't have to go super deep into this. We don't have to dig deep into this. But the one thing I did want to talk about, I want to put these side by side. So this is what dig used to look like, okay? Back in like 2008, it feels a lot like Reddit. It focused on these like yellow big buttons. You clicked dig it to put it up. It didn't really have the downvote in the same way that like Reddit does. It had like the top and topics. They had this little icon guy of this like kind of blocky character with a shovel. It blue on the top and then green kind of worked its way down. They have since now moved over to much more bubbly font. They have this skeuomorphism design on the side here to select between communities. So all of these are the communities on the side, from, like food and science, movies, health. And then you have kind of the up and down, similar to Reddit. The logo has remained mostly unchanged. You can see that they put like the beta down there, and maybe they did they adjust any of the weight? It looks like it's a little bit more scrunched. It looks like the height of the logo itself isn't as high. They do have this like AI generated, I believe, Dig Daily, which I think goes over everything that's kind of trending on Dig each day and has in the top, which is interesting. But I wanted to call out the skeuomorphism icons, which feel very early 2000s. The one other place that you can really find this is on Airbnb, where their navigation has these skeuomorphism. When you load Airbnb, it actually rotates these icons, and they have that real kind of tactical vibe. And that's what iOS used to look before we had flat design. It is maybe coming back, maybe not coming back. I don't know how I feel about it on the sides. It feels a little bit too busy and clunky for me on the side. I think that they need to do some refinement. I think that the skeuomorphism of the Airbnb logos is a lot better. Even those, though, I think probably could use some refinement and a little bit more cohesion because they feel a little bit too separate. I think they need more matching colors or just something to tie them together more than the idea that they're just like all things that look kind of real. And then on the top here, that's their old logo. This is the new logo. More or less the same. Just looks like they made it a little less narrow and tall, and a little bit more, squished, and fits more into a square, fits more into an icon, which all makes sense because now when you interact with things, your logo has to experience as an app icon. It also has to experience up in the corner. It has to work on an app. It has to work on the website. So it's interesting to see how it has changed. Jack says she doesn't mind the style, but she has no idea what they mean. Like, what does a fried egg do? Which if I go to dig.com, I should be able to highlight right over top of it. And the egg is offbeat. So I'm scared to click it because I have not vetted what is linked. Also, I don't know what these are linked. I haven't really read them. So sorry if I put up anything weird on the screen. Just because we are on the topic of things that we've already talked about, I also want to look very briefly at the Sundance branding that we have here. You can see that if we expand it on out, this is created by Chokol Goff, which are a graphic design studio by Donald Choke and Yolene Goff. They went with this very grungy looking, interesting kind of like film reel poster design, which is really nice and gritty. To give you reference, this is what it looked like last year when it was created by Sulky and Min, and it had like a focus on kind of the different skylines, and they was kind of like rotated across, and it was very kind of like line heavy, whereas like now it's very texture heavy. If you go into the raindrop, you'll be able to see that also there's a link out to the post where they're showing it in motion. It has access to be able to be a motion related design, which is also another whole experience of designing for things now. And that links directly to, this links to their website. but it kind of like goes by, and I'll have to link to it because I don't think I have enough time to hunt it down right now. I don't think it's in the I don't think it's in the raindrop, but I'll make sure it gets in the raindrop for you guys. But interesting. I think it's nice. I think it's ownable. I think it looks very cool with all different colors, and you can really organize different themes and different categories with different colors. A lot of their stuff is very geographic. Not geographic, geometry based, and with lots of big, like, just untouched shapes. And yeah, interesting to see. What do you guys like? Do you like it? How do you feel? Do you like this one, or do you like the one from last year better? Be interested to hear. Alyssa is also calling out to give this video a like on YouTube. I appreciate that, and give it a comment too if you're feeling super supportive. I wanted to talk a little bit about variable fonts. I know we talked about their support for variable fonts in After Effects with this most recent update. This is an interesting update coming to us from Chantel, and this is Chantel Pulp. The interesting thing that they're doing is they're introducing a variable font logo, which is very uncharted territory. They're saying that there's a question of whether audiences are going to care about a logo variation. Making the logo type the variable element and whether that registers with consumers remains to be seen. Variable logo types aren't primarily about consumer perception. They're about kind of organizational alignment. And this is also backing up their views of like being able to be body positive with all different types of weights and all different sizes. So the actual logo itself can kind of like grow and morph and be smaller and bigger in some places than others. It says that it represents fluidity and inclusivity. They have a custom variable typeface with 2 axes and 3 masters per axis, allowing the letter forms to morph through different weights, widths, and contours. And then they pair it with Helvetica now as a brand font to kind of then ground it. So you have this crazy fluid font, and then you have one that has been used thousands of times over to be able to kind of ground it. And it'll be interesting to see. This is the case study that they kind of paid for. They have not yet kind of rolled it out yet. This is coming from Tom May at Creative Boom. You can read the whole article and learn more about it and see it in motion and action all on their website. This is a fun sunscreen brand. Can you believe that? Can you believe this is a sunscreen brand? Look at this. This is like tarot cards that they have created that are then also now being the branding for Evil Ray by Sea Change. This is coming from Emily Gosling at BP&O. They do really good profiles of cool different brands. And I mean, can you believe when you look at this, when you look at this, do you think sunscreen? It's very interesting. Also, Reverb Mike's going Helvetica. Wow, LOL. Yes, that's what I said. It's a very basic font, very used, lots and lots, but interesting to see if it is good that it grounds the different variable font that is working with the logo. Anyway, back to Evil Ray. Interesting thing about this is not just the idea that it is recycled plastics for the bottle, and they're using an interesting color for the bottle, and they're using an interesting kind of format for it. They're actually also using UV reactive designs that signal when users should reapply sunscreen, even on cloudy days. So I guess you like take this out of your bag on the beach. It's sitting on your blanket. You apply it, and then like later on, you see that the color has changed in the design, and then therefore you know to be able to reapply sunscreen. Obviously, that only gives you one thing. I mean, I guess you could always like then put it back in the bag, wait a few, and then bring it back. I'm not sure. Interesting approach, regardless. I remember back when it was it Coors with their mountains, when they're like, if the mountains are blue, the beer is cold. So having that interaction like the interaction and a reactive design is cool. I guess it also kind of goes back to the idea of what we were just talking about with having like typeface that moves. I mean, design that reacts to its environments are really interesting. Kendall says she likes the Evil Ray vibes though. Winter says interesting. Clever says it looks like knockout juice. Yeah, so I think that's also a hurdle that they're going to have to also kind of navigate. If you're walking around in the store, are you going to look at that when you're looking for sunscreen and go, oh, there's sunscreen? Or are you going to be like, I don't know what that is, and then reach for something that looks like normal and has SPF on it? That said, there have been a lot of really popular sunscreen designs lately. In this article, they talk a little bit about Vacation has a very popular designer-heavy base that all uses that sunscreen because it leans into like retro nostalgia and how sunscreen used to smell and how it used to look, and so that's its own thing. But I thought it was interesting taking an approach with tarot-leaning packaging. This is designed by Sea Change, and then also the logo design was by Reg Mombasa. And it's a celebrated New Zealand-born Australian artist and musician who drew the brand's cheeky but instantly iconic Evil Sun logo, which I like the little arrows around it too, and also like how he's sweating. A little sweaty sun never hurt anybody except me when I got really, really sunburnt every single time I ever went outside. And then our last rebrand is just a fun little trip down looking at what could have been for Wikipedia. This is coming from the Wikimedia Foundation Instagram. It says, what if this were Wikipedia's logo? Before the puzzle globe, Wikipedia's community explored other possibilities, and the early 2000s delivered. They said this was one of many concepts submitted by volunteers during Wikipedia's early development, which is also crazy to remember that Wikipedia didn't always exist. Like, yes, I was alive during that point, but I also don't really remember a time when I couldn't Wikipedia anything. It says thousands of people weighed in, ideas were proposed, challenged, revised, and sometimes abandoned entirely, all transparently in public. That same collaborative process extends far beyond their visual identity. Wikipedia is built through an open disagreement, documented decisions, and consensus reached in full view. Every edit is traceable. Every debate is preserved. And so they have some this little worm guy is hilarious and weird. They have like a, generic eye. They have kind of different puzzle pieces coming together, which now like reads way more of autism, but back then it didn't read as much as autism. They had this crazy dragon, like Hydra, which like is a Greek creature that when you cut off one head, like more grows out. And then they had a very 90s looking like PowerPoint with like the golden ratio and a W and grids and stuff. And just cool to see. And like all of these definitely feel out of date. They all definitely feel like early 2000s, late 90s. And it's so interesting that we got to where we are now. Mike is saying Centopedia. Oliver's also talking about Britannica and Carter on CD, DVD. Yes, I used to have a CD program for Britannica, which is funny. Tracy loves the dragon. And it's just funny to see. See, Alessandra's also saying she remembers that I get sunburned all the time, which is very true. I do get. We only have limited time left. We're gonna break Behance. So if you're on Behance, guess what, guys? You're probably gonna get cut off in just a few minutes. We don't have another show until 2:00. So if you're over on YouTube, I promise to see the end of it. If you're on Behance, I can't promise that you'll see the winner. So make sure you have YouTube open just in case you do get cut off. And we're gonna only have 2 resources to hop into today. So we're gonna very quickly do resources, and then I promise we will crown a winner for Font of the Week. So resources, the 2 ones that we have this week actually are pretty similar, like so much so that like their websites look almost identical, especially like in like dark mode. But the first one is inspo.page, and this is a website inspiration library created at a component level, organized for fast inspiration and updated weekly. And you can see here that not only does it have like a nice selection of a bunch of different websites that you can go through and see how they animate, you can specifically go up to here, and if you wanted to find just inspiration for your navigation, you can click it and it will resource for you. You can also go in here and say if you want it to be like the footer, if you want to look at specific like motion with scroll effects or transitions. You can also look at like different like buttons or drop downs, grids and lists. And this is a really easy way to be able to look at active updates of websites that can be inspiring, really beautiful things. They all have proper credit, with social proof and Paris by Emily. The thing itself is a website that is built by someone named Kopp, Kopp, and they say that it's free because they enjoy sharing and giving something back. Thanks for the support. 2026 will be interesting. I'll be sharing what's next here and links out to their Instagram. So that's one. But then the other one, which I said is also very similar, is actually just called detail.design. And it is another thing that's very similar, a collection of small details that make big differences. And this is curated by Renee Wang, who links out to their X page if you want to go over to X. And you can subscribe via email and search for details. You can also filter similar here with like typography, optimization, design, interactivity, and Easter eggs. Same sort of thing, constantly updated. with different like little icons and animations, and then gives you different links to be able to go through them. This is like from the Notion website, and you can also see it gets linked out on the bottom. You can also link through to look at different things all within one card, which is really nice. And yeah, so Kendall's saying that she will have a look through that as she's redoing her website right now. And Clever is cheering on Font of the Week, which we will get to just about now. Like I said, Behance, we're about to lose you, but make sure you hop over to YouTube for a second, and then after this, you're going to hop over to Twitch. So just get ready to move anyway. The time is now. So with us nearly at time and us going through everything on our raindrop, as you can see here in our raindrop, we have everything linked out. I said I will go ahead and reorganize these so that they follow the order of the show. Right now, they're kind of all over the place. You can also always access all previous episodes here all the way back to episode 53, all within the link. And then you can also get to our Font of the Week winners. So let's go look ahead one more time at Font of the Week and declare a winner. All right, guys. So without reasonable doubt at all, a very clear winner this week. You guys voted with 53%. When I go to end the poll now, the winner for this week goes to Oaks. Congratulations to Oaks, a flared sans serif type family with 8 styles from Overlap Type. Would love to see how you guys work with this typeface. If you're interested in being able to implement it into any of your projects, I'm going to go ahead. You'll see that it's not normally on the episode itself because it gets moved over to Font of the Week. You'll see last week I put both Forager and Fate because we don't know which one actually won. But you can access here and you can get all of these really good winners. And you can access all of them directly straight through your Adobe subscription. And you can activate them, deactivate them, cycle through them. You can look at sample text and write in file new if you want to see what that looks like, increase the size and whatnot. As I have said a few times during this stream, make sure you give me a follow on podcast. You give this video a like, and you also stick around for Cinema Collective coming up next with Courtney Burke and Ashley Kofelt. And they will be working on some cool stuff. They'll be going over the premiere updates as well, and they'll also be hopping into some fun stuff right before Sundance. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for your feedback. Let me know in the Discord, in the file news section over here, if you have things that come up. I think I saw something come up with Penny saying that it was giving 1990s computer game King's Quest when looking at the crazy looking it's so accurate. I feel like he's going to talk to me and tell me to explore some click and scroll video game that exists out there. But those are all available. Like I said, there's also the schedule. And then there's also all the different shows here. So you'll see once we hop into CA and LA, there is also a channel for that available. So thank you guys for all being here. We'll be back here again live next week, same time, same place, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, right here on the Adobe Live channel. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you all over on Twitch in the chat, but you'll see my face next week at the same place. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.